about me. So I'm working in a charity foundation, Caritas Ukraine, based on Greek Catholic Church. And I started to work in this organization in 2014 as a psychologist. And this was the beginning of the war, yes. And so for 9 years already, I started as a psychologist. Then I moved to making different projects, different humanitarian projects, protection projects for crisis centers, projects with child-friendly spaces, so all different spectrum. And starting from 2016, we started to make a lot of integration events between internally displaced people and local communities to help them to integrate in local communities. And starting from 2017, we started grassroots peacebuilding projects. And so from 2017, I was in charge of all the projects. And till 21, it was a lot of practical. It was for projects on all over Ukraine. And then from 2022, of course, I was needed again in humanitarian aid and also in psychological field. But now we started these small, peaceful projects on peaceful coexistence again. And I'm again in charge of that, but not only, but of all social cohesion processes that we have in Caritas. So it's a little about me. So I'm really basically practitioner. So maybe I will then, if somebody wants to share any more ideas now, and so we will go to a small, George, please, we will go to a small presentation.
For me, I'm a person who is passionate about the environment, and what I'm understanding and from my experience being a paramilitary is that wars tend to affect the ecology so much in that we lose a lot of biodiversity through shelling, bombing, and all these kinds of stuff. And reflecting on Pope Francis' Laudate Si encyclical, which talks about taking care of the environment that God gave us. And we, as human beings, instead of replicating or doing good to what we have been given by God, we tend to destroy it. And another example is like our neighboring country, Somalia, whereby war has led to extinction of wild animals there, destruction of forests because they burn charcoal, and a lot of ecological damage. And this is what I've been reflecting a lot. Okay, I also learned other things, but I've been thinking about the environment a lot because I really care for the environment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, I understood that some lecture was really great. Yes, about ecology tragedy here. Okay, so I will share a small presentation that I was thinking of. So my topic was about peacebuilding initiatives in Ukrainian. Okay, do you see the presentation itself, and do it move? Does it move? Everything is good, and it's moving.
There. Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
So about our peacebuilding initiatives, and especially if we're speaking about Ukrainian Christian communities. So I can share some initiatives that are in our parishes. I can share some of our approaches, how we work with peacebuilding, as also in Caritas, but I know different initiatives in Ukraine who are into peacebuilding too. And not only about humanitarian aid, not only about sharing different about, for example, interreligious or economical interaction to help people, but also in more specific peacebuilding areas. So just about that, I already shared with you our experience, and just to show you how we started in 2017. So it's our team of Caritas and that was the team that we started our own peace building there. Yeah. And there is now we can say that we are having our initiatives in 10 different locations, in 10 different districts in Ukraine, all over Ukraine. So from Poltava on the east to Volyn on the north west, and to Odessa on the south, and everywhere we are trying to help our communities to still be in social cohesion. So our peaceful coexistence approaches, it's really interesting thing, but I will come to that afterward. I just want to share different examples of how communities are working together and how communities are really what we're speaking about, what we are talking about if we speak about peaceful coexistence. In Ukraine, maybe somebody already mentioned to you that we have now the highest level of social cohesion in Ukraine, and this year showed how much people are getting together, how much people can volunteer to help each other, and so on. But unfortunately, now we have more than 500, today we have 500 days of full-scale war. And unfortunately, all this social cohesion, now people are tired, and some conflicts, mostly domestic conflicts, mostly like just conflicts of living nearby, yes, conflicts comparing to economical, how to say, because of course the economical situation in Ukraine is becoming worse and worse and worse, and all this lead to conflicts between people, and all of that together with different stereotypes that are rising, together with different also together with propaganda, yes, especially Russian propaganda, all that lead to this decreasing of social cohesion level. That's why we, and not only us, but several different organizations are started different initiatives to keep this unity together and to keep this social cohesion and to keep this peaceful coexistence together. So here you see our example from Caritas Berezhane, when IDP community, so IDP, it's internal displaced people. So internal displaced people who went to Berezhane, it's a western part of Ukraine, from the south. They decided to help their own community, and also they made this just place for children to play and all, but it was all together with authorities, all together with local people and IDPs. And such initiatives where people just wanted to say thank you to local communities, that they hosted them and that they hosted them well. This is just an example that is one of really plenty that we are working on in our local communities. So here we are in a real, how to say, questioning now a lot of approaches that today we were already were mentioned about that. It's not really easy to speak about pacifistic way of peace now, and we are in this real questioning the peace building itself, because you know, of course, you know, you are maybe more professionals than me, that peace building was an approach to try to keep peace after Second World War. And unfortunately, here and now we see that we cannot say about any negotiations or any peace processes with Russia. And but still, we have this question on peace building. We still have this question on peace. And also we have this question, and we are like turning all that inside Ukrainian community, inside Ukrainian society, understand how we can bring different people together inside Ukraine. So we are trying to rethink this peace building. And so we are trying also to increase our this peaceful coexistence approach together with community development, together with inspiring volunteering, together with activation of different initiatives, but especially with conflict sensitivity loop. And also we inspire this collective support because we are thinking, and because our I will tell a little more about our collective approach later. And the only thing that is also important, because, for example, Caritas and a lot of, like mostly all organizations in civil society, they now are overlapping humanitarian work, development work, and peace building, yes, for those who are working on peace building. So mostly all like trying to make this nexus that we are, okay, how we can provide this humanitarian aid, but we provide this humanitarian aid with equality and in inclusive way. So not to exclude anyone in community, for example, or how we need to change all our social initiatives to be ready for any emergency situation, because unfortunately, you know that there is no week now in Ukraine. The situation is stable, so every time, so this bombing of Lviv or Kakhovka Dam and all, every week we have new challenge, and then every week we have new emergency, but still we understand how we can proceed from humanitarian to social and backwards. And in all that, we have still peace building question. So what we are thinking in our approaches, it's really, for me, really important that we are, when we are speaking about peace building and how we are proceeding with peace building, of course, we are speaking on conflict mitigation. So we think, we understand, when try to name, but not really to spread the stereotypes between people, but to understand which divides we can have and what we can do to overcome these divides. So we have really a lot of events for intergroup cooperation. So for example, sometimes this displaced people or families of a military, so not military itself, but families, for example, women who are waiting for their husbands and backwards. So it's sometimes, or displaced people, it's sometimes easier to isolate yourself and try to overcome consequences of war on yourself, but it's really important to be socialized and to feel support of the group. That's why we are trying to get, for example, internal displaced people together, because sometimes they are isolated, they just try to survive, and that's it. And we are trying to get them and to make the social connections inside group. Then what is really important and what is really about conflict sensitivity, that we are not just strengthening the group, we are trying to make linkage between one group and another group. So we are making a lot of cultural events in the basic and the most working for Ukraine. So some cultural or some events about cuisine, yes, some recipes sharing or cooking together, some sports events or some easy coming events, but for different groups together, yes. So we are getting in trust with different groups, and then we are bringing them together. And this exchange and this sharing of stories, it's something that brings us to overcome all the stereotypes and to come together. So this is one thing. And of course, we are providing conflict solving, so mediation, and also sometimes for difficult questions and pluralism of views, we are also providing dialogues. And this is something that we are making for our conflict mitigation. Also, that is really important that we are speaking about, we are thinking about collective trauma. We are thinking about collective trauma and also of how we can spread the stories of surviving, of overcoming, how we can create this really safe space for sharing stories of grief also. So how people can build the trust between them to share this grief. Also, we are thinking about all these coping mechanisms and coping responses that are more constructive. So we are speaking like, okay, how we can deal with our war experience, but in constructive way together. Yes, so it's also, for example, it's not so constructive if you isolate yourself, but it's more constructive if you share or if you just go in somewhere and be in somewhere. It's not, it's also important this, in here, we are working with in media literacy, but also we are working on trauma awareness, because it's really important here in this volume of traumatization and in this volume of tragedy in Ukraine, it's really important for people to understand how to deal with trauma if you experience it, or your neighbor or your closest one are experienced trauma or other psychological consequences of war. So it's really important to spread this trauma awareness. And for that, we have really a lot of educational events made by psychologists, trained ones, who are saying, so it's okay if somebody is talking about their trauma. It's okay if somebody is not talking about their trauma. So just, it's important that you are near and you just can, but it's also important that you are caring about yourself. So this is something that is helping us also to making the consequences of collective trauma less. And so peace building action itself, so not because it's always about peace building, but this one is like, so we are now we are on our own. We are trying to understand, okay, what is peace building now? Because unfortunately, we know about different initiatives all over the world that are trying to speak about peace for Ukraine, but sometimes without Ukrainian specialists. And sometimes it just gets to speaking about ceasefire or speaking about from perspective of Ukrainian, even peace builders, it looks like about different types of Ukraine to surrender. And it's something, of course, really painful for Ukrainian people. And it's something that will not lead to positive peace at all. And also advocacy peace building for Ukraine. So for now, for example, we have projects in these locations, just to share with you. And also, I wanted to share maybe more stories about our about our different initiatives on from Christian, especially Christian communities. So, for example, in Ivano-Frankivsk, mentioned here, previously, we had a real big like small project about ecumenical, not even in other way. So about interaction of religious organizations and other civil society organizations for peace building. And we created together this Greek Catholic Church representative from Orthodox Church, this United Patriarch, from some scientific people. So we had a working group and we created the strategy of how to proceed together of the religious organizations and civil society for peace building. And that it had just 3 parts about understanding the truth. So it's something also that I think that we were discussing a lot, that it's really important to spread the truth about war, about crimes, but also just stories about how it's really happening, what is really happening, what really happened. Yeah. So understanding and share this truth, yeah, so that it will be the shared reality. Listen to each other, and this is also about all dialogue processes and all dialogue approaches that we can have, and acting together. So how we can act together and what we can do. So, and with this strategy, all our local organizations mentioned here, and not only, they went with small roundtables and small discussion in their own region with different churches and religious organizations and civil society. And in the end, because of that, but not only, if you know that we also have all Ukrainian Council of Churches and Religious Organizations, this strategy was signed by them, so is as their document. And because of that, for example, in Ivano-Frankivsk, it's a western part of Ukraine, they created this small council of churches and religious organizations. So there was different denomination of Orthodox, Catholic, Greek and Rome, Jewish, Muslim, so all together, Protestant, Christian organizations, so all different organizations together, they created this council. And after that, for example, when COVID started in 2020, they found and financed together the charity dining room for all different types of people that had not enough money to feed, to have a hot meal every day. And after the full-scale war started, again, they were financing this dining room, and they are still financing this dining room together. So also we can say that there is different organizations that are supported but different also all so for example, we have another really great example on organization called Dialogue in Action. There is some. No, I didn't prepare such a lot of slides. Sorry, I have a lot to share, but I did not make all on. Did not have time to put it all on the slides. So that's why it's not everything there. I just can do. No. So I just stopped sharing because, oh, sorry. And how just to start up sharing? Okay. So I'm just sharing in talking because.
Кнопка внизу share screen. Виключити її просто.
Так. It's new. Sharing stopped. Okay, sharing stopped. So just to continue, just share without slides. So in this organization, for example, Dialogue in Action, they are working together with different communities and mostly with religious leaders in communities, for example, different pastors and priests, and together with other people from civil society on local level, they are teaching them different all they need with facilitating, with providing dialogues, with different types of how to deal with conflict and also how to lead your community. And afterwards, these different communities, they can work on their own problems, they can gather together and they can really solve their problems in constructive way, but lead by different actors from civil society and also by religious actors. For example, in Kramatorsk, we had a really such an experience that we were working with chaplains who were also studying on conflict resolution, and it also really helped afterwards to for them to work in their field as a chaplain, also understanding how to deal with conflicts and also how to lead on their own level. So I don't know, yes, this slides, this was a problem, but I can share a lot more, but if it would be good if you have any questions, so I can share answering on your questions.